What's up, Rooted Collective? Welcome back to Awakened and Rooted, where the veil is thin, the vibes are deep, and the stories will make you question everything. So if you are into the mystical, the metaphysical, or the downright unexplainable, you are in the right place. So let's get started.
I just recently seen this video where this creator, I'll have them tagged down below if you want to check them out. They were talking about in this video how scary it can be when you learn that you have spiritual gifts or the awakening of them. And personally, I think that is such an excellent topic that is not spoken on enough. And I feel like the more people spoke on it, it would make the next generation who comes up after you more comfortable when their shit start blossoming. Because a lot of times gifts run in bloodlines, whether you want to acknowledge them or deny them. And I'm lucky I came from a family that was always open to talk about their experiences. Like, you can hear it on my podcast from like 3 years ago where I did an episode with my mom back in the 70s when she learned she was psychic. One of her first visions that she always educated me on is she seen her grandmother fall down the stairs and her wheelchair landed on top of her. She told her mother, my grandmother called to her parents' house just to put everybody on alert, and less than 2 days later it came full circle. And my mom and her grandma were like that. So for a young girl who my mom was only in middle school at the time, and if it wasn't for my grandmother who everybody already knew had a gift, and her sitting there down and explaining that how it ran through the bloodline, how we will skip some, it would have probably taken so much for my mom to find a type of peace within her abilities. But my grandma made it comfortable. And see, my mom always knew there was some extra shit with me, because as she always said, this bitch was born with his eyes open. But I remember as a kid, I would see shadow people and I would always be screaming in my room. And I remember my mom be like, they ain't gonna hurt you. And I'd be like, you promise? And she'd be like, hell no. She's like, but I might. And she was right. They never hurt me. And as I got older, but this is where shit started to get real. And remember, black people are sometimes naturally superstitious. And there's power in the tongue. So remember that. As a kid with certain people, I could just walk up and call out sickness within them. And the first one I happened to do it on was my grandmother. It was like 98, 99. Mind you, I'm like 5, 6, because my birthday's in March, so it comes early. And I remember I walked up to my grandmother and I just looked at her, and I looked at my aunt and I said, she's sick. And my grandma looking at me like, that's news to me. And they was like, what'd you say? And I was like, Granny's gonna be sick. And as a kid, you know, when you get that big of a reaction, you like, oh, did I say something wrong? And you know, black people, because we don't want to speak shit into existence, because it can happen. And a month later, my grandmother had her first stroke. And it even goes full circle to like 19 years later, my senior year of high school, I called it the morning my grandmother was gonna die. And after it happened, what I appreciated is like my aunts and stuff like that, my mom, they all validated my experience. And that made a world of difference. And they made sure I knew the difference between mental health and spiritual gifts. And you know, and just in a loving way, as my mom does, she sat me down and she was like, you got a gift.
So I always tell people to don't say things out loud if they don't want to speak them into existence. So on that level, I can understand what he's saying. Dude, gift, I don't have any gift. So not that I know of, not yet, but
We teach you how to detach from the mind completely. Now, I know I talk to y'all a lot about reprogramming the mind, which is still holds true because you do need to learn how to reprogram. Once you pass that step, the real goal is to learn how to detach from the mind completely. Remember, you are not your thoughts, you are the one that hears your thoughts. I'm not saying that your mind is the enemy, but it'll have your ass on a hamster wheel if you don't learn how to step off. Try this with me right now. Go ahead and close your eye. Take a deep breath in and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Every time you do that, you remind your spirit, I don't have to be my thoughts, I can just watch them. Now, this is a very small moment and it doesn't seem that impactful, but trust me, it works because it creates spaciousness between you and the chatter. You ain't gotta argue with your mind. You do not have to fix every single thought. Sometimes the real work is just not identifying with it at all. So yes, continue to rewire what needs reprogramming, but don't forget to return back to the silence. That's where the real downloads come in. Try that little pause anytime you feel yourself spiraling. Mind will try to pull your ass back in, but remember where the soul lives, in the stillness. Be still and know that I am God. Neville Goddard, shout out to him, said the universe doesn't respond to your efforts, it responds to your being. That's the real shift, because all the hustling, the overthinking, that will not make nothing shake. It ain't gonna make the cosmos nor your inner world align. What really matters is how you're being, how you're showing up from your center. But remember, before you try to force anything, drop into that state of stillness. Be the observer in that witness state. That's where you find your true self, where you're calm, where you're present, where you're aligned. You can also do something like inhale like we just did and exhale and ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought will be. Just wait and notice where that space forms. That's where your true self lives. That gap between your thoughts, that's where your highest self is. That's where your inner light is, your inner being. Get out of the mind's drama and slide into that state of pure awareness. That's when the universe is going to meet you at your level. Just remember to stay aligned and always let your true self shine through. In them comments, so let me know your thoughts. If you ever want to go deeper, just go ahead and click the link in my bio. Peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
I always love watching Yaya World's videos. Out of all of the I don't know if she's a spiritualist, but those type of people that I watch on TikTok, hers always seem to resonate the most with me. And I am a big advocate for taking a step back, taking a deep breath in, hold it, and out. And that completely calms you. It brings the blood pressure down. So yeah, I'm going to be trying that. Not trying it, I'm going to be using that.
I have a story time for you guys about a woman who is telepathically communicating with her estranged grandfather through reoccurring dreams. Carol is the woman that we're going to be talking about. Her real name is not Carol, but we're going to call her Carol for anonymity reasons. And Carol was the woman who was having these dreams. So Carol's mother was raised by her grandmother solely. Her grandfather wasn't in the picture. Carol's grandmother never really talked about the grandfather. Everyone just kind of assumed it was a fling and they went their separate ways. So Carol's mother didn't know her father at all. This wasn't something that Carol and her mother talked about because, again, it was kind of a sore subject. She didn't bring it up a lot. Her mom didn't want to talk about it. So that's kind of where it was left off. One year for Carol's birthday, she decides to treat herself. She'd been wanting to do it, so she got the Ancestry DNA test kit. So Carol gets the Ancestry kit. She's so excited. She immediately does the DNA swab, and she's super stoked. She sends it in. She can't wait for her results. She's excited to figure out if any of her kinfolk exist anywhere. Much anticipated, and finally, Carol gets her results back from the DNA website, and she sees that she has a percentage match of 25% with two different people. Carol sees the 25% matches. She's immediately kind of uneasy about it, and she starts to procrastinate. She's like, yeah, I'm going to put this off. She decides to kind of lay back. She's not going to worry about the DNA results right now. She continues her life. She kind of forgets about it. Until these crazy dreams start, right? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Carol starts having these dreams. And in her dreams, there's a man's presence, right? And he's trying to communicate with her. It's not really scary, but he's communicating with her in a way that feels so real. Like, it's starting to freak Carol out. Carol continues to have these dreams for months. They're reoccurring. They're happening every night. This goes on for like 3 months. One night when she's dreaming about this presence, she feels the need to go back and look at her ancestry results. She just has this urge, pulls the results back up, and Carol reaches out to one of the people who she has a 25% match with. So Carol reaches out to one of her 25% match people, and it is an estranged aunt's mother's sister. Able to get in touch with her estranged aunt. Her estranged aunt tells her a little bit about her actual grandfather. Carol realizes that her estranged grandfather likely never even knew about Carol's mother's existence at all. Carol finds out through her estranged aunt that unfortunately and sadly her grandfather had already passed on. Obviously this is some heavy news, but this is where a connection was made, right? So Carol finds out about the time that her estranged grandfather passed, and the weirdest part about it all was it was right when her dreams were starting. These reoccurring dreams where a man's presence was communicating with Carol every night for months. Carol feels with all of her heart that this communication was done by her estranged grandfather, that he had passed on, and he was trying to communicate with her because he wanted her to find out about him, to find out about her long-lost family. Carol is still struggling with how to break this news to her mother, but she has solace knowing that she found out who her grandfather was, and for for some reason he decided to start communicating with her. Have you guys ever had dreams where a lost one or someone you loved was trying to communicate with you in the ethereal realm? I personally believe, Carol, and do believe that dreams are another realm that you can potentially communicate with other dimensions, especially if you're prone to those kind of abilities. Leave a comment below if you've ever had an experience like this and tell me what happened to you. If you guys liked this story, please like and follow for more Sacred and Strange story times. And as always, stay blessed and stay safe out there. Y'all have a great night.
I feel like I've been having dreams a lot about family that's here now, family that's passed on. Whether or not I'm having dreams about people I've never met, I have no idea. I haven't been able to put that 2 and 2 together.
6 signs you've been marked by the unseen. Here are 6 signs you carry the mark, one you may not have asked for but you were born with. Number 1. You've always felt watched, not in a paranoid way, but it's like a quiet pressure, a gaze, like something on the other side is keeping record. Number 2. You survived things you shouldn't have, accidents, close calls, situations that just don't make logical sense. You walked out untouched, but chosen. Number 3. Strangers tell you things they've never said out loud to anyone. Something in you opens people, even the people that don't believe in anything. It's not normal, it's spiritual magnetism. Number 4. You've been attacked energetically more than once or twice. It could be nightmares or sleep paralysis, sudden random fear with no trigger. It's because the mark makes you visible on more planes than one. Number 5. You have the gift of discernment, but it came through suffering. You learned to read energy because you had to, and now nothing gets past you at all. And number 6. You feel like you were sent or placed, not born. You carry a mission that hasn't been fully revealed yet, but every test you face feels like training for something much bigger. You may not have chosen the mark, but damn, you carry it well.
I feel like I can read people's energy. I'm usually right when I see somebody for the first time and know whether or not that person I can trust or not. Let's see. I don't feel like I was placed. I'm trying to remember everything he said. I want to say that I have had a close call, and that was with a house fire. I don't know. I can't remember. See, my mind is not remembering everything he said, but I do know that a few of those things do apply to me. So it's at the end. I mean, what happened? I have absolutely no idea what happened, because nothing happened. Is it, you mean like the camera glitching? Because I don't know.
And that's it. We're getting the heck out of here again. Okay. That was a little too specific for me. Bitsy, let's go hunt some ghosts. Back in the haunted room. And we're going to see if we can spend more than 5 minutes in here before running and shitting our pants. Motion sensor camera. Blink camera. Infrared. Also detects temperatures. Most dreaded app on my phone. Use white candle for ambiance because it's the Lord's light. We're going to be sitting on the floor this time. See what happens. Are you done with mommy shit yet? Okay, let's do the shit.
Afterlife. Understand. I don't understand. Bedroom.
I'm not liking this very much.
Me either.
Murdered.
You were murdered?
Say yes.
Pussy. I heard you growl.
Elemental.
Pussy, do you want to get out of here? Are you nice? Like Casper? Go, don't you, Pussy?
So, I'm sorry, I'm sitting here watching. That's the end of it. First of all, don't mess around with that stuff, especially if you think the room is haunted. That was your first mistake.
Have you ever heard of the October theory? Me neither, until I came to TikTok. So according to the theory, every October our life drastically changes. So my little mind gets to rambling like, what is an October theory? So according to the resources I've come across, TikTok, October theory is basically every October your life drastically changes and it pushes out the old to get ready for the new, sort of like what people do on January 1st. Like I said I was going to do this and now I only have 90 days until the end of the year, right? So I started thinking about my own personal life and I realized on the first day of October, I started having car trouble, which has drastically changed my life. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's just a coincidence. So I get onto my camera roll and I scroll all the way back to last year, starting October 1st. And guess what? The month of October is when I freshly became single. So I started researching because I'm like, maybe I'm just looking too deep in it. Maybe it's a coincidence. So I researched October just to see if anything pops up. And guess what pops up? October is the month that our calendar lost 10 days. It went from the Julius calendar to the Gregorian calendar. So people woke up on October 4th, and when they went to sleep, it turned to October 15th. And this was back in 1582. So I'm wondering, like, why did they just change this all of a sudden? And come to find out is that the Pope didn't just do it by himself. He actually had mathematicians and astronomers. So what if we've been stuck in this time loop?
Please don't let me go back and start researching October to find out what the heck changed in my life drastically.
Y'all, I don't care how much fun we have and how cool we is, none of that shit. One thing we ain't gonna ever do is play with a Ouija board. Listen. Pulling out a Ouija board in front of me is probably gonna be the easiest way to get you cussed the fuck out. And what makes it so bad, I must be living under a fucking rock, because apparently now they have an app out called GhostTube. Do you know how crazy that is and what y'all tapping into? It's some weird ass demonic shit going on. Now that's what I call demonic. I don't want to talk to no fucking spirits. Listen, even if you trying to contact me, bitch, I don't know. No. Y'all don't know who y'all contacting. Y'all don't know who y'all talking to about what. I just literally watched a video where a girl downloaded that GhostTube app and it recited all of her siblings' names and then like her great grandparents' names or some shit. Like, y'all, people are literally creating this shit to open up portals. Y'all better stop fucking around with shit that y'all don't know about. I'm telling you, when it comes to spirits and ghosts and contacting the other side, if you don't know what you're doing, don't with that shit, because y'all be opening up doors for y'all self and shit to come in and with y'all. Listen, baby, I don't watch enough scary movies and I done experienced enough in my life to know that the spirit world is very much real and very much true. So y'all better leave that shit the fuck alone. I'm telling you, open up a Ouija board around me if you want to. Yeah, I shut this whole shit down. You heard me? Y'all better stop fucking with shit y'all don't know. We got enough shit going on in the world right now, and y'all out here putting out GhostTube apps and shit, and people out here talking to the dead and some more shit on apps. Y'all better leave that shit the fuck alone now. We got enough going on in the world. Leave it. Put it the fuck back. Put it the fuck back. And I mean it.
And she went off, but she ain't lying.
You ever heard somebody say, oh, they sold their soul? Yeah, if you have, and those stories have always kind of like interested you, I got a story for you. And this is my first-hand experience. This is like, I was there. This is me. This is like, I freaked out. Keep in mind, I've always had like spiritual, interesting experiences my whole life. I mean, look at what I do for a living. It kind of just happened to me, and I'm like, people wouldn't believe this shit. But if you like Hollywood celebrities, even like these Twitch streamers and like these random people, I don't even recognize who they are, but apparently they're known. I got a story for you, so let's go. All right, so when I was about 21 or 22, I moved out of my mom's house and I moved with my current girlfriend at the time. I'm not gonna say her name. She works a professional job, actually like a pretty professional from the last time that I ever crossed paths with. And the good thing is that she's not famous. I mean, not a good thing, but you know. All right, so this is the time. This is like 20. Fuck, what am I gonna say? This is like 20. Like 2008 through like 2010, I think. And this is when like the Kardashians, reality TV, Jersey Shore, the Housewives of New York, all these shows estaban pegando. This is where no-name people were getting recognition, right? And people were doing some weird stuff to try to get famous. So the girl that I was with was kind of obsessed with these shows. I mean, who wasn't, right? Anyways, esta muchacha was, if I remember correctly, she was on like a few revistas de Lowrider magazine. I think she was on one. She had shown me a picture of one. She had dated a guy that was a boxer, a professional boxer, and now he has I'm not even gonna say who it is, because if I say like what he's doing now, you guys are gonna like point out who it is and probably end up figuring out who his girl is. But he did box professional, like on pay-per-view, so we're not gonna say anything about that. But we would watch VH1 and we would watch, I forgot which TV show, but she ended up saying, man, let's go, let's see. And we saw casting calls, de pendejos, you know, because it was all the rage. So we submitted a casting call to like a relationship show. Teníamos problemas, we were whatever. Yo siguiéndole la corriente porque andaba bien enamorado de pendejo y whatever. Andaba de mandilón. Never heard back, whatever. And as the months and the year progressed, the same thing continued. Obsession with fame, with getting known. Like if I were to place bets on it back then, if somebody said, hey Marco, would you think that you would be more of a large following on social media eventually in a few years, or her? I would say her, because I had no interest in that shit. I kind of still don't. I just post a bunch of interesting stuff. So there was one day we were in, and here's the thing, here's the weird thing, 2 + 2. That she would wake me up sometimes and say that, yo, something's shaking our bed. Something's shaking the bed. Marco, the bed was just shaking. Did you not feel it? Scared to death. Y yo pensando, yo, estás loca. Until there was one day where I woke up and the bed was still kind of shaking, and then I'm like, okay, I know what you're saying. I don't think you're crazy. Keep in mind, this is before my spiritual, you know, I mean, I did have UFO experiences as a child, but after that, that's kind of when the spiritual things started happening. Maybe like la trama que me dejó esta vieja me abrió el pinche cerebro. Anyways, I had an experience with her where I had sleep paralysis, but something was telling me in my ear to hurt her. Clearly I didn't do it, you know, I didn't end up in jail, I had no record or anything, but yeah, it was a weird thing where I was like, yo, what the hell? Like, this is not me thinking this. Like, I'm not going to do it. That's another story that I'll tell another. But after that started happening, one day we're kicking it at night, watching a TV show, and this girl says, Vio, because she used to call me Vio, instead of Villa, which is my last name. She said, Vio, do you think people really sell their soul and they become famous? And I said, to be honest with you, like, I think so. I think there's something true to that. And she says, you know what? Honestly, if I would sell it to be on TV. Keep in mind, this is probably over a year after, or close to a year after we submitted like that email to be on the TV show. And I'm like, and the weird thing is that I got chills. I was like, yo, like, I wouldn't even say that. I just told her, like, yo, that would be a trip. I was like, but I don't think, like, I wouldn't. I told her I wouldn't. You know, because there's something more to life than just TV. Frankly, I said no because, one, that still spooked me out. And two, andaba enfadado con esas pinches televisiones, esos programas, besides Jersey Shore, and For the Love of Rachel. Anyways, bro, why that same week or like the next week? It was relatively short because I warned her. She gets a fucking email back from VH1 at that time, talking about how we're the perfect type of couple that they wanted on the show. Instantly, I was like, no. You remember last week or a few days ago what you... I'm getting the fucking chills right now. I'm not doing it. And she got spooked out and everything too. And she's like, yeah, we were just talking about that. I was like, isn't that weird that this is happening? Like, it's been forever. Like, there's no way. And she's like... Another thing that's interesting too is that later on in life, even during COVID, this happened to me where through social media, I got offers to be like on programs. For sure, one in UK and one in Colombia. The one in Colombia was like a dating show, and the one in the UK was like a TV show where like you guessed music off of like music samples and stuff, and they asked me, oh, do you know like music very well, whatever. And I was like, yeah, like if you play, like I know, like if I hear a song, I know who they sampled, like all this shit from, whatever. So I was very adamant, and I prayed to God to not get the shot. Not get it. I ended up just quitting that job and everything because I just didn't agree with a lot of stuff that was going on. And at the end of the day, I wasn't going to get that damn shot. So something told me, don't ever get it. Now, when I was trying to get my following up, more for business than anything, because to be honest with y'all, I like to lay low. But I was really hoping to break out and to get like a large following. And at this point, I had like 2,000, 1,000 followers. I was like, man, like I just need to hit. I was thinking that you go viral off of one post. Clearly, I'm not a Instagram baddie. You know, I can't post, you know, booty pics or nothing like that. You know, no tengo nada para enseñar besides like la carilla que tengo. But when I was like, damn, like, please just one to get me to like 10,000 or 20 or whatever. Why does this program me habla esta producer y me ofrece those TV shows, which one do you want to go? And I want to go to Colombia, right? So they're like, okay, you just need to get your shots. And I was like, vergas, I was just having this dilemma. And I quit my job over it. And I'm wanting an opportunity to kind of like stand out a little bit, to kind of like help my, I guess, my portfolio, or I don't know, my notoriety. I don't know what I was thinking about that. So I said no. I was like, no, that's one thing I can't do. But, I mean, if you stayed through this whole thing, just letting you know that I think it's real. I know it's real. Last night I just saw a black shadow, a dark shadow walking across the street like at 3:46 a.m. Actually, this morning, I woke up to get my son a bottle. Actually, to use the bathroom after I got my son a bottle. And I saw a shadow walking across the street behind a cart. And I was like, is that a person at almost 4 a.m.? You know how you're supposed to walk past the cart? The shadow just walked into the cart and never walked past the car. And I was like, that was not a person, that was something else walking on the street. And I got the chills again. But then again, I always see shit. So just letting you guys know, don't sell it, because it's probably the most valuable thing that you have. And I doubt that it can ever be sold. But you can probably make a deal here on this earth.
So he was either this close to selling his soul, or he did. He keeps talking about how I'm not really into it and I don't really want to be famous. I like to lay low. but I keep doing these things so I can up my followers, and I don't want notoriety, but I kind of do want notoriety. But now I'm seeing a black shadow. Let me know in the comments if you all think he either was this close to selling his soul or he sold his soul.
If you're talking to someone and immediately you get into a coughing fit, I'm talking about tears in the eyes, throat is super dry, you can't get a word out, water is not helping, and you're not sick and this is coming out of nowhere, your body's rejecting the conversation or even the person, or your body doesn't feel safe communicating its truth. Depending on the situation and what you guys are talking about, like if you are expressing your truth because you're doing that intentionally because you feel like whoever is sitting in front of you deserves to know, then the clearing and the cleansing is good. The coughing just means that you needed to get that out. You needed to purge. But if you're just simply having like a regular conversation and you get into a coughing fit out of nowhere, and it has nothing to do with you expressing your truth, but instead engaging in a conversation, there's something phony about this energetic exchange and your body's picking up on it. So pay attention.
Why does that happen to me all the time on the phone talking to patients, and I have to say, hold on for a moment and cough and then go back to the call?
Everybody's so spiritual till it's time to work on y'all self. Y'all spiritual when y'all want to wear the crystals and walk around with the tarot cards and shit. You spiritual then. You spiritual when you want to do a spell to try to gain control of your life. You spiritual then. What about when you feel a jealousy spirit coming onto you and you fight it instead of actively being jealous of your friends? What about being able to check yourself when you feel a demon latch onto you and you realize this doesn't align with who I am, something is wrong, and you go and you take yourself on the cleanse? How many times do people actually just sit down and say, I was wrong, and I take accountability, and they take what they've been through and use it to be better people? People ain't really out here unlearning bad habits. They're not. They're not. People ain't doing the work. They're not. Everybody's so spiritual though. But you can't feel. You can't feel when people switch up on you, but you're so spiritual. Baby, I know you ain't gotta say nothing to me for me to know what the fuck going on. That's how spiritual I am. Being spiritual is not a look or a jewelry or none of that. I know bitches who putting spells on people just to try to have some type of control of their life. You feel me? The difference between me and my spirituality and y'all spirituality is I'm spiritual, but I'm walking hand in hand with God. I grew up religious, then I went spiritual and started doing witchy shit. Them demons, you don't want to walk through the valley of shadow of death without God. That's what spirituality is. You walking around all these demons, tapping into all this shit without God. Nah, that ain't me. I tapped into it and I said, God, please help me. I need you. I don't mind telling God I need him. I don't mind crying out to God, telling God to order my steps. I don't mind God telling God, you see this? Because God is within me. I already got all the things that I need. All I got to do is heal myself, work on myself, reach my full potential so that I'm aligned with God. I don't need no connection to talk to God. This is a direct link. Direct link. I don't need no middleman. Everybody's so spiritual though.
And I agree with her.
You know, I don't say this to scare people, but I am going to say it. And I know people don't understand until it actually happens. But there are certain people that you do not do harmful and mean things to. Yes, there's karma, but there are certain people whose spiritual teams, the protection that these people have over them, there's things that you just don't do to that person, especially playing with their heart, their mind, their spirit, because when that person comes back full throttle, it's nothing nice. But not only that, but the things that will happen in your life, y'all, please don't play with people. There's certain people you just don't play with. So believe people when they say you don't know who you're messing with. Believe people when they say that. It can be detrimental.
And again, I agree with her.
I just saw a post about this girl who was saying how she stopped using tarot cards and crystals and sage and basically went back to the church. And I think that it's very interesting because I feel like you were never awakened to begin with. The thing about spirituality is people tend to look at it like it's another religion. Like you're looking for somebody to help you. So you feel like, okay, God is not doing it. The church is not doing it. Okay, let me go wave this sage around in the air. Let me go start doing ancestor worship. Let me start, wearing crystal bracelets. And it's like spirituality is not a religion. Once you're awake, you shall remain awake eternally. If you were truly awakened, you will never be able to go back. All you were really doing was looking for a way out. And so you started doing what you saw other people doing, thinking that, oh, well, if I do this, then maybe I'll feel better. And it's like, no, babe, like you're not doing the inner work. You're not healing. You're just waving sage around in the air thinking that things are going to get better, and it's not the way it works. So when you come back and then you say, well, sage and crystals and tarot and all of that is demonic and that's why I had to get away from it, and it's like, no, babe, your frequency was just still extremely low because you were not truly awakened. You were not doing the inner work. You were not doing the healing. You're just looking for another way to escape, thinking that something could save you, when the only thing that can save you is you.
Oh my God. I think these last two ladies, let me look back. Actually, these last three ladies have hit the nail right on the head. When it comes to spirituality, step lightly. Because if you are out here doing things that you know nothing about, if you have not done the shadow work, you can get yourself into a world of trouble.
Imagine it's your 18th birthday and your family tells you they can finally tell you the secret they've been hiding from you for years and that they've got a gift for you, and then you start seeing this thing right here. So this here is Emily, and it's her 18th birthday, and while at her party, her family tells her that they can finally tell her the secret they've been hiding for her all these years, and that she's got this gift that all of her family possesses. Emily starts hearing a noise and she looks out the window to see this thing standing out in the yard, and she learns that all of her family members see their own one of those. They don't only see these things, they also hear them, and each time one of these things takes a step closer to them, they get one step closer to being dead. As her family's telling her this information, Emily sees her own creature thing now pop into the kitchen with everyone else. Emily's not really believing this, because if that's the case, she should be dying very soon, because her creature is now in the room with her. And then all of a sudden her mom turns around to see her own creature standing in the room as well, and then all these other creatures of each person's creature appears in this room. An earthquake happens, and then everyone's dead. This one's a short film called The Special Day. I really like the little plot twist at the end. Yeah, it's pretty scary. Tell me what movies you want me to talk about.
Okay, I thought that was a movie. Is it a short movie? I don't know. It sounds like something I would want to get into, but it seems like it's like one of those short movies.
My last tarot card reading scared the living daylights out of me. There was a time in my life where I was consistently going to tarot card readers, consistently going to those tarot card videos to seek guidance and see really what was going on in my life. If my love life wasn't where I wanted it, I was searching for an answer through somebody to tell me what was going on or what's in my future. I was going to these videos just for some guidance. And I don't do that anymore because I genuinely feel like I'm on such a different path with my faith and with God that I don't even need those things anymore, nor do I lead on those things at all. I can't even tell you the last time that I sought after one of those videos. But I will never forget something that freaked me out so badly, but I feel like I needed at the time. I got a cup reading, and I remember I was dating this guy, and I literally, like, there was nothing wrong with him on paper. On paper, he was like the most phenomenal guy ever. Like, somebody that I would definitely see myself with. When I tell you, y'all, the lady that gave me the reading, she was like, both of y'all are praying, but y'all are praying to two different people. And when I say that freaked me out so bad, and I was always wondering, I'm like, this guy always leaves and wants to like pray on his own. He had a certain time that he prayed. That wasn't uncommon for me because people do that. They have a certain time that they want to pray. So that wasn't weird to me, but I'm the type of person, whether you're my friend or I'm on a date or whatever, I bring God in any space or place that I'm in. And if I'm praying over the food, if I'm in your company, I'm gonna hold your hand and pray over this meal. He did not like for me to like touch his hand and pray, and I always felt like that was weird. I'm like, what is that? And it's just me trying to just be like, you know what, maybe that's just his boundary. Like, he doesn't want to, like, I don't know. Girls be delulu sometimes, and that was my moment of delulu. But I remember her telling me, like, y'all are praying to two different people, and that clicked for me. I remember that woke me up. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I cannot talk to this guy no more. Because although now, current me, I feel like I don't do tarot readings, I don't do cup readings, I don't do any of that anymore, just because I'm literally leaning on God, and I feel like God and me are in such a good place in our relationship. Things that I need to know, God shows me. The things that I need to hear, God tells me. But that one thing, I said, oh my gosh, that woke me up. And I genuinely feel like that was God through her telling me, y'all praying, but two different people or two different entities are getting the praise. It is non-negotiable to have God in my relationship. Like, I need God present in my relationship. I want my person to lean on God first. God has to be there. I took from that cup reading to literally be specific and ask who people are praying to. You have to be mindful and make sure that y'all are praying to the same God, because there's really people out here praying, but if you don't know who they praying to, they could be praying against you. Do what y'all want with that, but be careful when you out here and you're dating and you praying and you don't know who somebody is praying to. Sidebar, I just put these glasses up on my website, peopleblockers.com, and I only got a couple more pairs left, so please go get it. There is a special discount code there too. With this video, I'm not trying to say that there aren't people that have certain gifts, because I know that I got some gifts. I'm just not paid for them, but I literally know that God has provided me with a level of seeing and foresight and knowing certain things before they even happen, because it's crazy. But I know that I have certain gifts, so I'm not saying that I don't do those things because I don't believe that people don't have those gifts. I just know that I'm just in a different place with God, to where I'm not leaning on that so heavily to where I'm looking for guidance through those people. God is like, girl, I gave you some gifts, now use them.
I don't know what to think about her video. I'm on this level with God, but I have gifts and he told me to use them. But I went to somebody who also had those gifts, but now I don't do that because I'm on this level with God. So how do you know that this person that you went to is not also on a certain level with God? I don't know.
No, I know the people like to get on TikTok and talk about all the scary and spooky shit that happened to them. Well, guess what? Today is my day. So let's talk about it. So my siblings and I, we feel like our house is haunted. We feel like it's something in there. Even though our parents built the house from the ground up. I saw the house when it was land, when it was concrete and sticks. They built it, but we still feel like it's something in the house for various reasons. We done all had our little, I don't know what you want to call it, our little run-ins with whatever. But whatever it is that we feel is in the house, for whatever reason, it loves me. And I don't know why. And like I said, I've had a few instances, some small, others not so much. But I'm going to tell you about the one that really be having everybody shook when I tell the story. So, we're just going to give you a little rundown. So, our house is 2 stories. And it's 5 bedrooms, but upstairs it's only 1 bedroom upstairs. It's a bedroom, the game room, the little computer area, and the attic. That's all that's upstairs. Now my room is originally downstairs, but after my brothers moved, I would go and sleep upstairs in their room because why not? I'm a teenager. You know how we get, we want our own space. I already had my own space, but it was upstairs, so it was different. So one night I'm upstairs and I'm asleep. I'm in the bed. I got my back turned towards the door. Anyways, back to my story. I'm asleep, back towards the door. The door is cracked. So I'm laying in the bed and I feel somebody get in the bed with me. And I'm like, mind you, it's the middle of the night. Everybody's supposed to be asleep. I feel somebody get in the bed with me. I felt the pressure of the bed go down. And I felt somebody start whispering in my ear. I heard it. I felt the heat of the breath on my neck and my ear. Because somebody was talking to me. Now, this done happened. This was so long ago that this happened. I don't remember exactly what was said. Back then, It was like some words I could make out, and then other stuff I didn't know what was being said, but for the most part I knew what was being said. But now I don't really remember because I didn't feel like the information was anything that I needed to keep recollect in my mind, you know. So yes, the thing whispers in my ear, starts talking to me. Now I froze up because this don't sound like nobody that's up in my house. Who is in my bed talking to me right now? So they finished saying whatever they got to say. I felt them get up, the pressure lifted up off the bed, and they left. Now after they finished, I gave it a second, and I must have turned around to look. Y'all, why when I turned around to look, it was a big black figure standing in the door. Oh! I didn't know what to think. Y'all want to know what I did? I turned myself right back over and went right on back to sleep. Every time I say that, people look at me and tell me that I'm so crazy for doing so, but here's my thought process. If this really was a ghost, it was a something talking to me, what am I gonna do? I can't go nowhere. If you're really a ghost, if you're really a spirit, you can follow me wherever I go. You are already in the house. I don't even know how. What am I gonna do, baby? I said my prayers and I laid it on down, went on back to sleep. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I don't know why they feel the need to talk to me, because they always want to talk to me and make me have crazy dreams and everything else. But baby, girl, wait a minute. Is that a... I don't know. I don't know if this is a person in his backseat or if this is a wig in his backseat. Hold on, let me go. Lord, let me get off of here.
Listen, I think that story done freaked you out. Now you seeing stuff that's not there.
As a little girl, I was always told that if you ever hear your name being called, you never answer.
Wait, why did I think this was only like a black family type of situation? Because I never knew anything about this until I was probably 7 years old, and I was in my closet and I heard my mom calling me, and of course you say ma'am, and I was like ma'am, and my mom comes running across the house and she pushes the door open and she said, who were you talking to? I was like, you called me like twice. She was like, I did not, and never answer. And it was like, wait, what do you mean? First of all, what do you mean you weren't? And what do you mean never answer? And she was like, I don't care what you're doing. If you do not see me, or if you don't see whoever, do not answer. And to this day, I don't care who's calling. If I do not put eyes on you, I will not be answering, period. I'm not inviting anything.
Because it was a mimic.
Okay, so that blew up quickly. But I've gotten a lot of questions like, why shouldn't you answer? What happens if you answer? Why does it happen? That one I can't answer, and I will not go looking. But basically, the short answer that my mom gave me that day was because you don't know who's calling you, and so just don't do it. But later on, she did tell me, she's like, so it could be like someone that's passed on, like unalived, ghosty. It could be a demon, it could be the devil. You just don't want to answer because that's giving an invitation, almost like the vampire thing. If you invite it into your home, it will come. I don't want any parts of that. That's just me. So I don't answer if I don't see you. It's not my business. If someone's knocking, I will peep out a window. If I don't see anybody, I am going back to bed. Also, I love how like it's in all these different cultures and we're all just like, nah fam, we don't answer nobody, because literally love hearing about all of this in the comments.
I don't know, I'm different. I mean, if I know I'm in the house by myself, I won't answer. But a lot of times my husband will yell for me from downstairs. So I'll go lean over the banister and ask him, what does he want? So, I mean, sometimes I answer, but not if I'm in the house by myself.
So I'm going to share my experience regarding spiritual knockings. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail, just that what I was told was that spiritual knockings are basically somebody's spirit has already started the process of visiting people. And this could happen days before they die, could happen a week before they actually die, or before something tragic happens, right? So what happened was that it was late one night, and I used to live in the main part of the village. My kids, my 3 oldest, they were just small at the time. And my oldest was sleeping in my bed. My bed used to be up against the window. Anyways, they were all sleeping. This was right around, I believe, midnight at the time. So I was going to bed, crawled in next to my son. He was dead asleep, and I was just like waiting basically to fall asleep, just laying there. Then all of a sudden I heard a quick 4 knocks, taps on my window, my bedroom window. On the 4th knock, my son, out of the dead of his sleep, sat straight up and whispered into the dark, "Did you hear that?" And then he laid back down and he was out cold again. I jumped up, opened my blinds to see if I could see if anyone was at my window, because it wasn't uncommon that people would walk through our yard or walk on the main road. So I looked out my window, didn't see nobody. And I was like, what the hell? Got up, left my bedroom, went to the back door, put on my shoes, put on my jacket, went and did a circle around the house. Went and checked the road to see if I could see anybody walking away. There was nobody. Didn't see a single soul. So went back, tried to go back inside and went to have a smoke out on the back doorstep. Basically just lit the smoke and I prayed. I prayed that whatever it was, that no harm come to our family, that it leave us alone, right? Had my smoke, went back inside, went to bed. A couple days later, come to find out that there was a young gentleman who was involved in a hit and run. And fortunately, his body was dragged. Now, I can't remember if he was, he passed away on site or, if he was just badly hurt. And it didn't happen too far from where we were living at the time. My pops always told me that when it comes to spirits, they are most attracted to children because it's like a moth to a flame. They know children are very fresh into this world, that their little spirits are innocent. So when somebody who is going through tragedy and whatnot, and that impending death, their spirits may be scared to take that journey by themselves. Children and their innocence are very selfless. So my pops always told me to never take my children to a funeral for this reason, because they may see the spirit of the person there, and if that person is scared to cross over on their own, they may ask that child's spirit to come with them. So whatever happened that night, that spirit felt comfortable enough to come knock on my bedroom window, and it was my child who heard it. Even though my child was asleep, they heard that in their sleep, right? So I had to pray. I had to pray because I didn't want my child leaving so soon. I didn't know what it was at the time until I found out what accident had happened. Everybody's experience when it comes to spirituality is always going to be different. We're not all going to experience the same thing or get the same results. That's just common sense. Because we are, all individually wrapped. And some of us have more heightened gifts that we're born with and that we carry throughout our life. And I was always told that everybody is born with a gift. Whatever that may be, you may figure out when you're young, you may figure it out when you're old. But your experience, throughout your life kind of shows you what you are spiritually gifted with. things that happen to you that you can't explain, but then yet when you tell it to people, they don't understand you or they don't believe you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because we are all different. We are all unique. We are all born gifted. And sometimes the other side, they're very much aware of that. They're very much aware of how each person is different. And when spirits, reach out to you, it's because of that. They're aware. We're not. We're here for the human experience. Some of us stay more spiritually inclined throughout our life.
Okay, that was a little bit long, but I hear everything she's saying.
I just heard somebody running upstairs. What the fuck? It's 3:30 in the morning. My heart is pounding. I need to pray.
First of all, what are you doing up at 3:30 in the morning? If you go to bed, you wouldn't have heard it.
When I was a little girl, I was told by my pastor that I inherited gifts from my bloodline by ancestors that were evil and demonic. And I was told to pray away the gifts and to, what was the word he used? Denounce. He told me to denounce every gift that... This man told me, you are to denounce every gift that is in your bloodline. Spiritual people, I know y'all can feel the weight of what he had me do. He said, denounce every gift that is in your spiritual bloodline. And I did. And I'm going to tell you the story about how all of this happened. What did I see? What did I know as a child? And how early did it start? It started from as early as I can remember. I want to say about 5 and probably sooner, but I don't have memories of it. There would be times when I would know when people would pass away. I had a strange connection with death. And it's strange that I talk about grief now. I would know when people would pass away. And also people in my family, when they would pass away, like uncles or, cousins and stuff like that, they would come, we would kind of meet in this white room. The night before they would pass, it's almost like we would meet in this white room and we would discuss things, and then they would pass away and they would go on. And I know with my great uncle, he came to me the night before he passed away, and we met in that same white room. He had a white suit on. He looked so heavenly and angelic. And we talked about some things, and when I woke up, I heard the news that he passed away. I was afraid of cemeteries. Not because I was afraid of the dead, but oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to tag my sister so she can co-sign on this. I was terrified of cemeteries. Whenever my mom would drive past a cemetery, I would close my ears, close my eyes, I would duck, and I would have to do breathing exercises, knowing stuff about the people who had passed away, knowing things about their lives. Another thing that happened, and this one is very sensitive, and I'll just give a trigger warning for this one. There was a time when my mom, we were in the car driving past this wooded area, and I just kept telling her, there's a girl over there. There's a girl over there. There's a girl over there. And we eventually saw that there was a young woman who was found over there. And I struggled with depression a lot as a child. I was diagnosed with clinical depression at a very young age because I had all these gifts, and I was told that I was demonic and evil and to suppress my gifts, and I had to pretend that I was not connected to everything that is. Also, another thing is I see auras. well, what I think are auras. I see colors around people. And this has been a natural part of my eyesight since I've been on this planet. I have never not seen them. The last one that really, really like got my mom's attention. We were in the car driving somewhere, my mom and all of my siblings. And I told her, I had to be about 5 or 6. I told her, don't go that way. Don't go that way. There's going to be an accident between a white van and a yellow car. Like, how strange is that? It ended up happening. We got stuck in traffic for so long and eventually rode past that white van and the yellow car. So let's fast forward to this pastor. We went to this church and I was told that I knew too much, and I knew that I saw too much, and I saw things that I had no business seeing. And I was told to denounce every last one of my spiritual gifts, almost like a spell. It was almost like a spell that he told me to do, if I can be real. And he told me the words that I needed to say, that I needed to repeat after him. And he told me, you need to say these words and you need to denounce every gift that is in your bloodline. I spoke those words out of my mouth and I denounced every last gift that was in my bloodline, which is so dangerous. Oh my gosh, because that not only affected me, but it affected everyone in my bloodline. The dreams stopped. The intuition stopped. It eventually stopped. And I felt normal. I was so happy. Like, yes, I'm not a demon anymore. I'm not a demon and I'm not evil. I don't have these, these horrible, evil gifts. And then I started to become even more depressed because I was suppressing who I was. And I didn't feel like myself. I started to spiral emotionally because I was told by people who I was supposed to be. I was told who I was supposed to be by someone who was afraid of me seeing the true them. Now let's fast forward to April of last year when my mom passes away. My spiritual gifts and my intuition heightened like nobody's business. All of these things, these gifts that I had came rushing back in like all at once, and it was overwhelming and I didn't understand what was going on. And you can see, check on my page, I talk about like all of the spiritual things that happen with grief and with this transition. And now I'm in a place where I want to be who I am. I'm in a place where I know that what is in me, what was placed in me before I got put on this planet is good. Everything about me is good. Everything about me has a purpose, and every gift that I have is needed. If your leader asks you to diminish who you are so that you don't see,
get another one.
Are they really a leader?
No.
And what are they hiding? So I have accepted that I have gifts and it's okay. And I'm not evil or demonic for knowing.
So first of all, that makes me mad because that pastor was so far out of his lane for telling her that. So far. Are these gifts not God-given gifts that she had? Are you a demon? Why are you telling this girl to denounce gifts that she had from birth? That annoys me, but I'm glad they came back. I don't like that they came all rushing back at her at one time because that sounds dangerous. But yeah, that pastor sounds more like a demon than he does a man of God.
Okay, paranormal community, where are you guys at and how is nobody talking about this?
My family home. The house that I was brought home to after leaving the hospital after having been born. That house was haunted. And it was so normal to me, in fact, that it wasn't until I actually got a little bit older and I realized that the norm was to live in a house that wasn't already inhabited with spirits, and that bothered me. That became the reason why I had trouble sleeping at night. My mother, when she bought a home here in North Carolina, one of the main reasons she put an offer in on this one particular home, despite all of the other houses that we had already looked at, is because when we went to go view the house, both of us sensed the presence of a very benevolent spirit already inhabiting that space. So benevolent, in fact, that one day he actually eventually ended up saving my life. And from someone who grew up with ghosts, and at this point, in some weird way, living in a haunted house is kind of my comfort zone. But baby, this right here is all the way absolutely no. And I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, if memory serves me correctly, I believe I heard about this particular facility when I was a child. And if memory serves me correctly, I believe that they also house the criminally insane. Furthermore, in my experience, when it comes to stuck spirits in particular, they are a lot different than our ancestors, because due to the sadness that came along with living in poor conditions when you were alive, oftentimes that sadness ends up multiplying. And same for spirits of people that were very malicious when they were alive, or what we would call evil. They might get a little bit of extra pep in their step once they figure out that they no longer have the inherent restrictions that come along with a corporeal form. So stuck spirits, that can go very badly very quickly. Furthermore, allow this to be a testament as to the steaming pile of bullshit that the cost of living in this country has become. Because while there are some that are saying inflation, no, absolutely not. It is insanity. It is sheer insensitivity as to what's in your wallet. It is balls of steel, cojones, chutzpah, and the audacity to be renting out units starting at $1,200 for a unit that not only already comes with built-in roommates, but you run the risk of one of those roommates being the goddamn jackal from 13 Ghosts. The amount of fucked upness that you have me cannot be articulated with words, but it's gonna be an absolutely hell to the no for me.
She's funny.
I have not stopped thinking about this hypnosis story since the first time I read it like 2 years ago. How did this happen? So in his book, The Holographic Universe, Michael Talbot talks about something that he personally witnessed in the 1970s. His father had hired a professional hypnotist as a form of entertainment for a small party that he was hosting. As most stage hypnotists will do, he conducted a series of tests to see which of the guests would be most susceptible to hypnosis. A guy named Tom turned out to be the best fit. Tom goes into a deep trance. Now at first it's all fun and games. He's making everyone laugh because the hypnotist convinces him that there's a giraffe in the room. He tells him that a potato tastes like an apple. He bites into it. Ha ha ha, it's delicious. But then shit got crazy. Tom's teenage daughter named Laura was also at the party, and the hypnotist tells him that his daughter is now invisible to him. Okay. I have no trouble believing that a person's mind could block something or someone else out, because I have kids and I've seen them stare at their own fucking shoes right in front of them and not see them. That's not the part that fucks me up. Somebody explain to me how Tom could see through his daughter, a flesh and blood person. The hypnotist instructs the teenage daughter to stand between him and her father. She's facing her father. This hypnotist takes a small object in his hand that no one else can see. He puts it against the small of her back, and he asks Tom what he's holding. This motherfucker leans forward, doesn't see his daughter, sees through her, tells him what he's holding, which turned out to be a watch. He then went on to read what was on the watch, which was an engraving. The name of a person that was not in that fucking party, the name of a person he didn't know. What? He ends up passing the watch around so that the whole audience can see it and confirm what it is, blah, blah, blah. He brings the guy out of the trance. He can see his daughter again, and we're living happily ever after, except I don't know how the fuck you ever really come back from that. Like, what if he never brought him out of the trance? It has occurred to me that maybe this really was just a performance. Maybe this hypnotist pulled Tom aside before the party began. Maybe he asked him to go along with it, showed him the watch. That might be what happened. But the author of this book insists that he spoke to the guy afterward. The guy was fucked up. He swears that he was not part of it consciously, that it was a real thing that actually happened. Years ago, my husband went to a performance with a stage hypnotist, and he was chosen from the crowd. He did not know this guy. He was not part of the scheduled performance or whatever. And this dude hypnotized him. He was a dancing leprechaun. That's not important. Was this hypnotist using straight up deception just as entertainment? Or was it real? Reality is the illusion.
You ever notice when you by yourself in the store, somebody watching you, somebody following you? When you at the park, certain people stare and just look at you. When you driving, people just stare at your car. They don't even see you. They see what's in you. Whatever's in them is wondering what they doing here. They ain't supposed to be here. Where they come from? See, you got something in you that's shining so bright, the darkness cannot stand it. So they're wondering, how can I stop them? What are they doing here? That's why you keep on driving past people that look in your car. You know what I'm saying? They be looking at you, don't speak, don't smile. Oh no, I don't like that. They follow you around Walmart, follow you outside. They want to get rid of you. They on assignment. Some of these demons have an assignment to get rid of you. Some of these demons just wandering around in the physical inside of people. They are. And everybody that has a light, they want to run them off. They want you to be scared. That's why they stare at you. They want you to see them. You can feel their energy beside you. You can feel somebody looking at you that's for a reason. And when you look at them, they just stare at you. Get away. Pray. I'm telling you now, because there's a demon inside flesh right now. And trust me, some of them will come get you and take you out of this world because they know you're living for God's purpose.
Yeah, how many of y'all have people and you drive up to their car and you looking straight ahead and they looking at you in the car? That is a wrap on this one, but the journey, it's just getting started. And until next time, keep watching the signs. They're not coincidences, they're confirmations.